The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City reunion part 2 just aired. This one left no eyes dry in the room except for one, but we will get into all of that. The rumors, the husbands, the rumors, the nastiness, the husbands. The husbands join us on reunion part 2. We will discuss all of that. I will keep the recaps going for the rest of the reunion, not just for Salt Lake City, but when Potomac has the reunion, you'll catch that as well. The recaps are going, the pop culture tea is going on my page, just Housewives tea in general. I got you on this page. So if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? With that said, let's get into it. All right, guys, so the husbands join us for part 2, and Andy does his pleasantries. At the start of this part, we saw it got a little heated between the Todd father and Lisa, but we move on from that. I don't really know if they really cleared things up between Lisa, the Barlows, and the Todd father. Doesn't seem like they're going to be leaving the reunion on good terms. But then we move on from the Barlows to Meredith and Seth Marks, and the situation they have with Shawn, Angie's husband. Now, Shawn was on a podcast, Behind the Velvet Rope. He does amazing interviews. He gets on a lot of like actual celebs and then a ton of housewives and like Bravo lebs. And they did play the clip. And it was very much a leading question where David Yontef, I don't have it per verbatim, but it was basically like, do you think Meredith uses her son's community to her advantage? Something along those lines. And Shawn, I guess, just said like, yeah. The way Meredith made it seem like all season, it was as if Shawn was just running rampant, talking about Brooks Marks, her son, and Meredith. But then she has a problem when people call her out for her antics, for her insinuating not so great things about other folks, or when she reshares a story that she heard. Now, before we get to Angie and Meredith, Shawn to me seemed genuine, and at the end of the day, he's a husband. He's only been on this for like 2 seasons now. His wife is on the show. He's just there to support. I didn't think, or Shawn didn't think, he was going to be part of the drama. And even Meredith and Lisa and Heather yelling from the other side, from the other couch, like, oh, why even go on a podcast? Well, why can't he? He's on a show. Why doesn't he get to have an outlet and say his piece? So this was really off-putting, Meredith's behavior, and the other two women on the couch with her. Shawn seemed quite apologetic. He was just genuine, and he really just wanted to have a fresh, clean slate with the Marks. But Meredith was not having it. And she just kept attacking, and she just wouldn't let it go. And then once they played the clip, even Andy was like, the podcaster asked a very leading question to Shawn. This is what this is about. And Andy was just like ready to move on, but Meredith would not move on. And she's like, well, I have a problem with it. It's like, okay, Meredith, do your thing. Anyways, and then we get into the Monica mess. According to Meredith, Monica said the Shawn rumors to Meredith. And then Angie's like, well, Monica said to me that you said it. And so they played a clip of Monica saying it to Angie, but then Meredith got pissed off because they wouldn't play the audio or whatever of Monica saying that to Meredith, that Meredith wasn't the one spewing it. Here's the thing. Monica is not someone we can trust, right? She's changing stories depending on who she talks to. And the ghost of Monica is the funniest thing to me. This woman is not even on the show. And these women are still talking about her. And they're almost like scared of her. So it just makes me think, well, what else does Monica know about each of these women? Anyways, I thought it was really funny when Meredith was making demands, how she's basically going to walk off the stage if they don't play a certain clip, to the point where she was like, production said they would play this. They would play the clip. It's like, okay, Meredith, if you want to walk off, go walk off. Like, we don't care. Since telling people to leave is your favorite line, you can leave. And what has Meredith really brought to the show as of late? Now, I will say she does give really good like lines and good like memes and stuff like that. But if you guys, see what other commentators are saying or what other folks are saying online, I think there is a general sentiment rising where we're kind of like sick of Meredith's behavior. She's very calm. She's very calm. And then something will rile her up. And then she goes from 0 to 100. She doesn't have a whole lot going on this season. And so she's, trying to make this huge moment when it comes to her and Shawn and what Shawn said. But then they played the clip of the podcaster, and Shawn wasn't even the one that said it. He answered a very leading question. So whatever. We see Meredith walking off, but then not walking off. Andy asks Seth Marks if how their marriage is going. Seth is a funny guy. He's like, as long as the marriage is like 51% good, like we're good. And then the Todd father chimes in because the Todd father, he works in New York quite a bit. And so, him and Brownwyn, they're not seeing each other throughout the week. They'll see each other, I guess, over the weekend. And the same thing for Seth and Meredith. He's working in Ohio and he sees her on the weekend. And, it might not be a thing that works for everyone, but it works for these two couples. So great. And I think it's funny how Seth and the Todd father, they basically don't see their wives all week and then they see them, over the weekend. And then we have Lisa and John Barlow who are like stuck at the hip. So I don't know. I think that's like kind of like a funny juxtaposition when it comes to the different couples here. Okay, let's talk about the Todd father and Brownwyn. This was not a good look. Nope, 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 nope. It almost seemed like Todd didn't even know where he was, and did Brownwyn even tell him everything that happened on the show? And I'm not saying he doesn't know where he is, as if, he's old and he doesn't have the wherewithal. No, no, no. This is a very smart man. As in, you're at the reunion. You need to have the receipts ready to go. You need to know what happened on the show. So there were so many times either Brownwyn would say something about the relationship between her and Todd, or the affair but not affair, or her and the stuff with her daughter, and he just seemed like it was new information, like it was the first time he heard it. So it was really funny. Okay, Todd father, Brownwyn, infidelity, her breaking down on the boat. When she first started crying and relating or sharing her story to the girls, it sounded like infidelity, which is a strong word, is what should be used for what happened between Todd and her, as if he like did something major. He was chatting up some woman. Bronwyn's daughter, Gwen, is the one who caught Todd texting some woman. And so it seemed pretty intense. That's what it seemed like. And when some of the other women, I think it was Whitney who said like how Lisa and Meredith would know because they are the two that have apparently stepped out of their marriages. Bronwyn didn't correct Whitney or any of the girls when they thought it was worse than it really was. And this is where Bronwyn gets in trouble. She doesn't correct people. There's always little embellishments, and you're like, you know what? You're not credible anymore. So the infidelity, it wasn't that bad. He got caught texting some woman, and I'm thinking, okay, he spends a good chunk of the week in New York. He, I think, is in charge or the head of some private equity fund. He's moved on from the Palm Pilot, from technology to finance. And if you're in private equity, your money just makes more money, and it's a great space to be in. So this man's doing quite well. And I'm thinking, a man of this caliber, like how many meetings does he have in a day, in a week? All the plethora of people this man has to talk to, engage with, for the work that he does, the industry he's in. And I'm thinking, like, is this a woman? It was like flirty text, like, oh hey, like I'll see you at the fancy schmancy hotel bar, and we'll catch up. Or was it like, hey, like logistics, like, hey, I'll meet you at the hotel bar or wherever, and we'll go through the numbers. Like, what? Okay, got caught talking or texting with some lady, but like, what was the context? I don't know. It was very absurd. So we went from the Todd father was involved in infidelity to he was texting some women. So it wasn't a physical affair. Was it an emotional affair? No, so it wasn't an emotional affair. Okay, so he got caught texting some women. And now it just sounds like a nothing burger. So that's the problem with Bronwyn. It's like the story keeps changing. Nothing adds up. And when you have a certain impression of the story, she also doesn't correct you. So that's that when it comes to the husbands. And I, for some reason, thought the husbands would be on the reunion a little bit longer, but there wasn't much to it than that, pretty much. And then they got to head out. All right, so we then ended up moving over to Mary and what she shared with her son this season. Andy couldn't even ask the questions because it was just so heartbreaking, so heart-wrenching. Literally not a single tear. Sorry, not a single tear. Literally not a single dry eye in the room except for this woman. We literally saw Whitney breaking down. We literally saw Lisa breaking down. We saw Heather breaking down. We saw Bronwyn. We saw Andy breaking down, with the exception of this woman. So Heather shared how impactful Mary's story was. Heather watched it with her daughters, and they had a conversation about what Mary's son went through, and the different substances they were taking. Lisa was just yelling out across the room and crying and telling Mary what a good mother she is. Honestly, guys, Mary said on the show, her and her son, Robert Jr., it's not that they planned out what they were going to say. It was more, let's just have a real conversation. And if we could help one person, then we've done our job. They didn't just help one person. I'm sure they've helped many people, and not just people, unfortunately, going through whatever they're going through with substances. They've also helped family members and friends get a better understanding of this topic. So that was Heather and Lisa, on the other side of the couch. We literally saw Whitney breaking down, and it was so sad. She talked about her father. She hasn't spoken to her father since, what was it, season 1, season 2, whenever we last saw him. It's very sad. And Whitney basically said, because of Mary and her son on the show, she was able to explain to her kids why they don't see their grandfather. It's very sad. We, of course, saw Andy breaking down. We then moved on to the relationship, the friendship, the beautiful friendship between Mary and Angie. And Angie also broke down, because her mother had substance abuse when she was young, and she lost her mother very early. And it was sad to see how Angie just thought, if she was a little bit older, maybe she could have helped her mother. So that was very sad to watch. But this is a very genuine friendship. Mary was able to open up to Angie. Angie gave Mary the room to just be herself. Angie talked about how, we all get to now see this version of Mary. So, of course, Angie's asking Mary, Andy is asking Mary about her friendship with Angie, and, all that is great. But then we move on to, what's her name? Meredith. And Andy's like, okay, so what about your friendship with Meredith? And Mary's just like, Meredith is flying. She's not really here. And Meredith did seem first she seemed a little pissed, like, okay, like, have I not been a good friend to you? But at the same time, Meredith didn't know about what Mary was going through. Obviously, Mary wasn't able to confide in Meredith. She didn't feel like she could have this conversation with Meredith. Meredith maybe won't be able to give her the same amount of attention and outlet to share it. Meredith is traveling around. But in the end, Mary and Meredith, they did hug it out. And it was basically that, Meredith, she's busy. And Meredith felt bad that she couldn't be there for Mary. I do think Meredith did feel bad that she couldn't be there for Mary. But anyways, this was a good part 2. It wasn't as crazy. And I thought part 2 was better than extended part 1. Part 1, I felt like it was so chaotic. We couldn't get through conversations. It was just jumping all around. Part 2, I found it to be way more enjoyable. Part 3, guys, I'm obviously going to watch it. I'll have the recap for you, and that is where we will get to see Brittany come on stage, and that will be the end of Salt Lake City. Salt Lake City has been amazing. I don't know how they're going to top it, but these ladies always do. Guys, I will catch you all later. I have a ton of new videos on my page right now. Go watch it. Go enjoy your lunch. Go enjoy your dinner. I will catch you all later.